Last week, Christine named it clearly. Authentic intimacy is the fruit of encounter with God. The invitation, she said, is for the real you to meet the real God. The real you, free of armor, free of shame, without walls or veils, in relationship with the real God. So what happens after that? What happens when a person thus transformed turns outward and makes this critical shift? We have an example of that in the story of the unnamed woman at the well. The Samaritan woman shows us what happens when boundaries are lifted, when veils fall, when a woman gets a little taste of the water of life. When that happens, neither she nor her community will ever be the same. Because God's truth finds us, and love sends us. Christ's work doesn't stop at your healing, your personal encounter. It spills out into the world as reconciliation. When God encounters us in truth, we're sent out in love, that crazy, unexplainable, forgiving, hopeful love. Christ's work moves inward, healing us at the deepest level, and then outward as we seek to restore bonds with each other, making a way out of no way for justice and for filling the cracks, the many cracks of our world with compassion. So I'm always struck by the vulnerability in this scene. Jesus is hot and tired from the work of ministry. He's thirsty. It is he who asks for a drink. She appears and responds astutely. How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria? These first lines set up everything that follows, creating space for the otherworldly conditions of the gospel to emerge. Every boundary will be crossed. Every veil will be lifted. Ethnicity and gender, the divisions that separate them both, are immediate and present in this moment. The Samaritan woman names the walls around them. They shouldn't be speaking, let alone drinking from the same well. Through this question, she enters into a space of intimacy and possibility. She defines herself as a seeker, open to the mystery. Notice the absence of certainty and the presence of curiosity. Before teaching or offering answers, Jesus levels the field. He acknowledges his own need and asks for help. It matters not that she's a woman. He doesn't have a bucket. He needs her to meet his human need. All of this happens before he offers any teaching. The woman stays curious. She's open to this moment, this alternative path. Jesus names the longing in all of our hearts, the desire for this drink, this living water. The woman, with courage, continues this boundary-crossing dialogue. Put simply, she questions Jesus' credibility, and Jesus must reframe living water. She makes the move towards desire and faith. Jesus responds by lifting up her social vulnerability. You have had 5 husbands, he said. He doesn't condemn or shame her. He sees her. She names him a prophet and steers the conversation deeper. Let's talk about the where of worship. Jesus responds by naming the divide so that healing might begin. So whether geography, ethnicity, or religious boundary, it must be named and healed. Reconciliation begins with truth-telling, doesn't it? Jesus doesn't pretend the history of struggle doesn't exist. He names it so that the wounds might be healed, so that through the Spirit, we all might be transformed. Notice throughout the text this pattern, the seeing and naming, the radical truth-telling that transforms. First on the inside and then outward to our wider communities and the world. At this point, I imagine her face afire. The encounter with love has altered her appearance. She's got that Jesus glow that I was talking about earlier, that inward light after meeting something so great. With a knowing deep in her bones, a reconnection with what Dr. King called somebodyness, the concept of having inherent dignity, worth, and significance as a person. Having been seen, she goes and tells. She takes the message of love back to the same people, the same tensions and struggles, but carrying with her a new heart. She leaves the jar. She abandons some of the narrow labels that might describe her: woman, servant, partner, to embrace a greater and urgent purpose. Her voice, truly unburied at this point, becomes a tool of liberation. She is a witness, a disciple, an evangelist. Come and see. Come and see. Her witness births a reconciled fellowship between Jews and Samaritans. They even ask Jesus to stay with them for a few days. Her words draw the village in and toward their own experiences with Jesus, because that is what mission does. This is the encounter that reconciles, the mutuality and hospitality, the breaking of social and theological boundaries. All of that tells us that we are free. We can be anyway. The water, that drink is for you and me. Knowing that our journeys are interconnected, that our experience of love and freedom are only as rich and wide as the circles we make, we go and tell. We plant seeds of hope, resilience, and spiritual fortification into our world. Today, we read the story of this willful, audacious, and saucy woman. Shout out to Bishop Paula Clark of Chicago, who shared that term with me. She says she's saucy. And I like that. We read her story of spirit and activism, and remember, it all began with an encounter. So when I sit with this story, I don't just see her, though. I see us. I see the children of God standing in the heat of systems that drain us dry. I see communities asking hard questions about belonging and safety. I hear our voices in hers, the weariness, the courage, the hope. St. Peter's We are that well in Chelsea, a place where seekers, artists, elders, and neighbors stop to find something deeper than what we can find in this city, even this world. Well, I'm at the well today, too. And someone named that as we gathered around the altar to pray this morning. He was joking, but I was very serious about it. I'm at the well today. I'm at the well feeling the ache of systems and structures packaged as legislation that creeps toward my world and lands on my shoulders. I've wondered these past few days about my call to the movement and how to tether myself to work that feels unsafe for Black and brown bodies. Like her, I'm asking, how is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria? Is this movement for me? Is there room here for my body, my community? Because separation is real, and the silence around it is deafening. I'm at the well with questions about health care and student loans, about how these impending changes will impact my community, because we know these kind of things unroll, right? They unfurl in different ways at different times for different people. Because my community is exhausted. While we watch the rewriting and erasure of Black history, while Black women are publicly targeted and lose jobs, while fundamental protections are chipped away, I'm wondering about the plan for our flourishing. Yes, I am. Because I don't see it. And nobody's really talking about it. Or if we are, we're having these separate conversations. So yeah, the separation and silence. The silence is deafening and the separation is hard. The woman at the well lived under systems that didn't change in her lifetime. The forces that made her draw water at noon, likely to avoid judgment, that gave her 5 husbands and no real protection, well, many of those systems in one form or another are still operating today or being revived. But she had seen, she had known. So I breathe slowly. I breathe slowly. Sir, I see that you are a prophet. I breathe. I know that Messiah is coming. When he comes, he will proclaim all things to us. And I get quiet in my soul, and I receive the invitation. The water that will sustain my spirit, the water that amplifies and multiplies my life. Because I have seen, and I have known. I tell myself again and again, I see, I know. Come and see a man who told me everything I have ever done. That seeing and knowing and then the telling, that's the work. Despite our circumstances and differences, despite our unique frustrations, because we all have them, our job as believers is to bring light and to point others to the spring of life. It's likely the systems that caused her suffering didn't change in her lifetime, and I'm not sure how it will all pan out for us. But with her, having seen and known, we are still compelled to tell, to live a life of faith in spirit and truth, and to be sustained for the work by the eternal spring within. So I get quiet and I breathe, because I have seen and I have known. That we're here in this moment matters. It does. Our faithful presence is the prophecy. We are the legacy. We, like the Samaritan woman, like Hagar, and a host of other ordinary saints, are caught up in this mystery, this otherworldly story of the gospel. It is a mystery not of our choosing. It is a complicated and scary story, a world of miracles, of truth beyond facts, of waiting and doubting, of a deeper reality, and of always pushing ourselves to see beyond the horizon. So you know the struggles, you know the ones you face. You've heard all the stories. Our work as believers is urgent and it is critical. Sometimes that reconciliation is with ourselves, right? At other times, it's with God. You know I'm right. Always, it is with the dream of a beloved community, a healed and whole people, a world transformed. God's truth finds us, and love sends us. Each day we seek to share our seeing by telling. This is not dependent on our feelings. It is not an option, but a mandate, part and parcel of our sacred instructions, a basic requirement of our role as believers, to share this good news. The gift of encounter is not just for us. The gift of inner transformation is the wellspring for our outer transformation, our community-facing call toward societal change, the work of love. So for the newcomer, although Jesus can sometimes be confrontational, here we see a compassionate and patient teacher. For the veterans of faith, look beyond your self-presentation. With vulnerability, remain open to the exposure of your need and to the awareness that there are always other levels of understanding. Encounter. The real you meets the real God. Thus transformed, you go. You go and tell. You share your revelation with the world. We'll pause here to reflect as we hear her voice echo throughout time. Come and see. Think about your all I've ever done. Just for a moment, your list of issues, your story of brokenness. See the long list. And then seeing that list receive God's love and acceptance, God's singing over you. Know that Christ, the visible manifestation of love, love's deeper reality, came into the world for you. And in this stillness, in this beautiful silence, in this quiet, just share a moment of gratitude as we begin, each of us, to pray about opening ourselves to even one opportunity to share our faith in the coming week. We'll pause for one moment. Take one deep breath with me and let it out. Through your invitation, through your story, may many, many others believe. Amen.